Welcome to the NXT Podcast, your home for weekly NXT reviews and insight.
The beautiful part of NXT is that when one dream ends, another dream begins.
Find all of your NXT news, recaps, and analysis right here. So with that being said, we only have one question for you.
Are you ready?
We thought so. Let's get the show started right now.
Hey, NXT Podcast. I'm your host. My name's Zachary Smith. I'm very excited to be here with you talking about NXT. Gotta enjoy it while we can, because it sure does feel like it's gonna change soon, huh? It's probably not going to be good soon, but right now it's still fine, I guess. This is an episode that's just kind of fine. Maybe, I'm going to be honest, probably not that good in retrospect. But there's still some enjoyable stuff to talk about before we get started. You can always find me on Twitter at ZachNXT. That's at ZACHNXT. We're talking wrestling, other fun stuff over there. I'm also the host of a show called Random Wrestling. You can find that podcast anywhere you find this one. Take a random wrestling show, talk about it. So far, gotten mostly bad shows. If you want to hear a man not enjoying a show he's talking about for you, that's where you should go. Now, we cover kind of the news and the notes, what's going on with wrestling before we get started. Some of the headlines. Wrestling News says, report, WWE NXT will be produced by Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard. That is obvious. We knew that was going to happen. It's not good because Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard are also involved with, like, Raw, and that's not a good TV show. And SmackDown's a better TV show because of, like, Roman Reigns, but they don't have a track record recently of putting out good wrestling shows or good entertainment shows, whatever they would call it. So yeah, I mean, you knew that was going to happen. That was going to be part of it, because surely the show that was doing well critically but not getting as many numbers would be better if the guys who did the worst shows took it over. That's probably going to fix it, then get rid of all those short guys. So that's good. That's not concerning at all. That's not terrifying. That's going to be great. Wrestling Inc. also, former WWE superstar and how Brock Lesnar is backstage. Looks like it's from former superstar Charlie Haas from a podcast. I didn't read the article, but I bet he's real quiet unless he either knows you or likes you for some reason, and then he's great. I bet if he doesn't like you, it's not great. And then if it's like he likes you, it's much better, I bet. CM Punk talks about all-out match versus Darby Allin, Ric Flair on Charlotte's WWE future. AEW angle. Ric Flair got released. Some dispute as to whether he wanted that release or not. Didn't seem like he was super happy with the stories he was involved in. Well, with Lacey Evans, all that stuff. I imagine that wasn't super fun. CM Punk obviously went to AEW. Matt, Mimi, and I talked about that the same night that it happened. Fantastic. Darby Allin, great opponent for him. I'm not sure why we keep doing the Ric Flair talking about Charlotte in WWE thing. I imagine that's not super helpful for Charlotte, and like doesn't really matter. They love Charlotte, so whatever Rick happens to say probably not going to actually affect Charlotte in any real way. Just really, it does seem like maybe the kind of thing where Charlotte keeps seeing that headline and her heart skips a beat, I bet. Bleacher Report, Damian Priest on the fast track to main event stardom in WWE. Traditionally, yeah, he is. He was in the Bad Bunny angle, which WWE absolutely thinks is a main event thing. Now he's a United States champion. And like Bobby Lashley was United States champion, lost it, won the WWE title, but largely that's not like a main event thing. I would say let's wait and see, because they could just get bored with him very quickly. It's kind of a thing that they do a lot. WWE rumors on Adam Cole's contract status. It feels like Adam Cole's coming to AEW, and maybe I'm saying that because he absolutely should go to AEW. There's been a lot of different reports that have come out, and like they've told everybody that Adam Cole's not returning. I don't know if that's actually true or not. But again, all I can say, it's his life and career, and he should make the choice he feels best about. But boy, oh boy, should he absolutely go to AEW and not stay in WWE. He's not going to stay in NXT either way, which is going to change anyway. And he's going to go to the main roster where they'll like him for a little bit, and then he'll stand next to Randy Orton. He'll be small, and Vince will be like, oh, God, I can't do anything with this guy. So he should run, not walk to AEW right now, because he had the best run he's ever going to have in WWE and NXT. He will never be taken that seriously again, not through any fault of his own. So NXT itself. NXT starts with the entrance of Mandy Rose. If you recall, you probably don't, Mandy Rose was traded to NXT for Aaliyah for some reason. I'm still not sure why. I don't remember them doing anything with Aaliyah, so I'm not sure why we made a trade. But now Mandy Rose is here. It's weird to see Mandy Rose because this is such a Vince McMahon main roster gimmick, it seems like, which is like, pretty blonde lady, look how pretty she is kind of the general thing. She makes her entrance. She has two women with her. They said their names, and I didn't write them down. And I should have, because I thought I'd remember them, and I don't know why I thought that. But there's two women with her. They seem very invested in her doing well. Saray is her opponent. It feels like NXT really liked Saray at first and hyped her up really, really big, essentially saying, like, this is the next Asuka. And then she debuted and she won, and then Dakota Kai beat her. And now we don't really know what to do with her a little bit. I don't know if it's like we don't have a good story to tell with you, or we don't think you have whatever we think you should have to push you. I don't know I don't know if it's a Vince McMahon, Bruce Pritchard thing, maybe. Could be. But it definitely feels like Saray's just kind of here, which when we were first hyping Saray, I said that's probably a lot for somebody that the NXT audience might not have seen before. And sure enough, it was, because she wasn't going to live up to that, because it was like Asuka and NXT was a different thing altogether. It's kind of hard to make that comparison. So they're having their match. Saray drop kicks Mandy Rose, and then Mandy Rose sits on the mat with her back on the ropes in between the middle and bottom rope, and then Saray runs up again and drop kicks her, and Mandy Rose has to throw herself out of the ring. Looked like it hurt and sucked a lot. Props to Mandy Rose there. She is very tough. She goes flying out of the ring. Mandy Rose's friends are tending to her at ringside. The ref gets to like 5, and they walk Mandy Rose around the ring with a towel over her face, and they walk off. Mandy Rose gets counted out. Saray wins. There's gonna be another thing about this. This is very much like a story match, which is not usually what NXT does. This is a main roster thing. Well, they had a match, but it wasn't really. It was just the setup to a story. So we'll see more about that later. I guess Saray won, so that's cool. I'm going to be honest with you. I forgot Mandy Rose was on NXT, so it's good to see her still out there working. We cut backstage somewhere where Ciampa's cutting a promo on Ridge Holland, points out that Thatcher's on the shelf indefinitely. Ciampa's upset about that because of the Billy Club attack. Basically says he was fine with you picking a fight with Thatcher. That happens. It's after the match and playing the numbers game, and beating on us that really makes him mad. He says, and a motivated Ciampa is a scary Ciampa. And he does that thing he does where he is on a metal folding chair and he sits up, but does in such a way that he also pushes the chair back behind him so that it crashes so that you know he's serious. So it's a Ciampa being intense promo, which worked really well when it was him and Johnny Gargano in like a really good story, but now it just kind of feels like he just does that a lot, so it doesn't really feel like important or whatever, and it certainly didn't feel important later in the main event. We'll get to that too. They tease that next is Kyle O'Reilly versus Duke Hudson. They have a little mini promo of the new NXT logo, the one that's all colorful. Listen, here's the thing. That new NXT logo isn't that bad, right? Okay, first, we're all going to stop acting like the NXT logo right now is the coolest thing you've ever seen. It's fine. It's just a different logo. It's the same letters, everything. Colorful, fine, whatever. It's fine. It's not great. It's not bad. It's fine. We don't like it because it's like a rebrand and we know what's coming behind it. So just keep in mind, you're probably not actually mad about the logo. Because like on Twitter, I said that like I dislike this so much. And now that I've had time to think about it, I don't dislike the logo. The logo's fine. If everything were going to stay the same, I probably would have liked the logo. Purple's my favorite color. Obviously, I liked that logo. It's the fact that the logo represents like Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard making decisions that's the problem. I don't care about that logo. Whatever. I just feel like this is going to be bad and this logo is going to represent it. And that sucks because it's kind of a cool logo. But there's a new logo now. So that's cool. It's probably fine and also it's nothing. And that's not what we're really concerned about, is it? Duke Hudson from commercial breaks already in the ring. Kyle O'Reilly's making his entrance. The announcers say there's no way that he's 100% out here. Everything he's gone through with the matches with Adam Cole. Now, when they say that, they make you think that he's going to lose and then he'll have a little bit of a fallback excuse without saying it himself that he came out not 100% and he lost. That would have been a story that made sense. But what happens is they have a match that's fine. Kyle O'Reilly hits the top rope knee drop on Duke Hudson's leg that he had been working on, or taking advantage of, rather. He locks in the knee lock. Duke Hudson taps out. Now, could we have had Duke Hudson win this match? Yes. Would it have done a lot for Duke Hudson to beat somebody who has been in the main event scene and in title shots? No, it would have been great. Would it have hurt Kyle O'Reilly to have Duke Hudson beat him? Nope, sure wouldn't have, especially with that excuse built in. Does it provide a super compelling story going forward? No, it doesn't. I'm not lining up for Kyle O'Reilly, Duke Hudson. So as far as like reasons why Kyle O'Reilly needed to win this match, I can't give you any of those, obviously. Kyle O'Reilly's probably not going to be the next NXT title challenger, I would not think. I don't know if he's, like, what he's being built up for, or I guess because he just beat Adam Cole, you don't want to have him lose, but then maybe have Duke Hudson face somebody else, or have Duke Hudson, like, be a bad guy and cheat and win, and then we can do something from there. But what happened is Kyle O'Reilly decisively beat Duke Hudson and made him tap out. So that's pretty cool. There's a little recap of Indy and Dexter and the proposal. Beth Phoenix is very happy to tell us that the wedding is 2 weeks away. She got Wade Barrett an Index t-shirt, also a t-shirt she's currently wearing. Wade Barrett says, "Oh man, thank you so much. I'll put that right in my wardrobe," and throws it behind him into the crowd. Beth Phoenix is genuinely hurt and says, "That thing cost me $25. Fantastic. These announcers are fun. Ilya Dragunov unexpectedly is back in NXT with the UK title. I did not think we were going to see him again. This is great. He's wearing like a black turtleneck and black pants because he is absolutely that guy. He's limping real hard, but he seems happy overall. Generally seems like a guy that at least his character is totally fine with being beat up. Like, he's real sore and hurt from his match, and he kind of prefers it that way because he's an insane man. He's completely insane, and now he's a champion. And there's nothing you're going to do about it because he's crazy, and if you hurt him, he's just going to enjoy that more. So what are you going to do? Idiot? Nothing. He comes out, he gets in the ring with a little bit of trouble. Gets a "you deserve it" chant. He lets that go on for a minute. He says, "Before I go back home, just wanted you all to see that I'm still alive." Crowd starts a "please don't go" chant. That is appropriate. He says, "I'm not just alive." He says, "I feel more alive than I've ever been before." He said, "I like it here, and you will see me again soon." He said, "I put myself through all this. This is what it takes to be NXT champion now, or UK champion now. All the pain and suffering, who's willing to go through that to get this?" And raises that NXT UK title, which is the best looking title in all of WWE. So that's always a plus. He says, "The ring general is dead. Long live the Tsar." If that's the last time we're seeing Ilya Dragunov, presumably for a long time, that was a lot of fun. So he got to come out, he got to be insane, and he's now the guy. No interruption, nothing. Now he goes back to NXT UK, having showcased it. Maybe you get some eyes over on NXT UK. Fantastic. I hope we see Ilya Dragunov again soon, and I hope that Walter wants to come maybe to NXT, because that sure would be great. So we're in the back now. Indy Hartwell asks Johnny to give Dexter a chance. Johnny says that he'll think about it. He goes to turn around. Dexter Lumis is already there, because that's what he does. Johnny yells at him to stop doing that. Goes to turn around again. Dexter's following him. He says, "You really got to stop doing that." Next, Johnny Gargano versus LA Knight with Indy and Dexter at ringside for some reason. That seems unfair to let two people be at ringside with him. That just seems like a lot of help that maybe he doesn't need. So we go to commercial break, come back, or rather before the match, there's a promo by Pete Dunne, Rich Holland, Danny Burch, and Oney Lorcan. Danny Burch does his promo. If, being out 5 months makes having to wait 1 week take a really long time or feel like a really long time. And then Oney Lorcan talks, and I'm reminded that Oney Lorcan looks like he should have a British accent. He absolutely looks like that. But he doesn't. And every time that happens, I'm surprised. And I know for a fact that I have brought that up on this show before. Probably the last time Oney Lorcan spoke. It doesn't happen a lot. But if Danny Burch weren't in a tag team with him, he would look like the most guy who should have a British accent. And he doesn't. And it throws me off every time. And he's not a great promo, but I don't know if that's just because I'm disappointed in his accent or lack thereof. But it's very apparent that he should have one. He should just start doing it. If he started doing a British accent next week, none of you would notice, because that looks like how he's always talked. You'd completely forget about it, and you'd be like, yeah, this makes a lot of sense, actually. I like this. Pete Dunne cuts a promo. It's still not necessarily his specialty, and so that's why Pat McAfee worked as the leader of this group, because Pat McAfee was a guy who was very, very new to wrestling, but was a really great talker, and so he was the mouthpiece for all these guys, and that worked really well. And then Pat McAfee goes away. He eventually becomes a commentator, the best one, on SmackDown, and now we just don't really ever mention it again, kind of thing, like a hard retcon, and Pete Dunne was always the leader. And Pete Dunne's great, but Pete Dunne's not the kind of talker that you would have be like the head of a group, because that's not like his promo style or specialty. He's kind of a quiet, reserved guy. So he's good at, like, I'm going to beat you up, but he's not as great at, look at all these guys and how great they are. I just wish, like, Pat McAfee were still the leader. Like, the promos went on for a really long time sometimes when they were, like, going up against Undisputed Era, but he was really good at, like, getting the points across. Basically, goes to Ridge Holland. He basically says he's going to put Ciampa in a hospital. We flash back to in the back, it says moments ago, where Mandy Rose's friends, whose names I could have gone back and written down, and again, should have, that's fair, but I didn't. They're in the back. They're leaving I don't know if it's the women's locker room or if it's Saray's locker room, but they've attacked Saray in the back and left her laying. So, Mandy Rose Saray is going to be a feud going forward. Listen, do I care a lot? No, I don't. I can admit that to you, because these two aren't really characters. Mandy Rose was, like, only a character because she was really good friends with Sonya Deville, and they teased that, like, maybe one of them was in love with the other one, and then they dropped that. And then the Otis stuff, which was a fun WrestleMania moment, but there weren't fans. And then, like, she just kind of was drifting around because they didn't bother to come up with, like, a character for her. Her whole character was like, wow, she's pretty. And that's not her fault. That's the way she was presented, because that's how Vince McMahon presents blonde ladies, is that they're very pretty. And look at them, how pretty they are. And Saray was supposed to be, like, the next Asuka, was going to be the biggest thing ever, and then kind of wasn't, and I don't know why. So I'm glad they're both doing something on TV, and they should have a good match, but that's about all I got for you. So look forward to more of that. Coming back from commercial, Johnny's already in the ring. LA Knight is finishing his entrance. This is going to be a really good match. And in fact, it was. Johnny's about to go for the one final beat, but as he jumps, LA Knight punches him, and he falls off the apron, but then Dexter catches him. He catches him like if you're carrying, what is the thing where, like, you a groom carries the bride across the threshold, that way of holding somebody, or like the way Shaggy would always catch Scooby-Doo. I don't know why that's the second thing in my head for that example, but he catches him like that. Johnny realizes where he is, and then he's mad at Dexter for catching him like that. He gets down, and Dexter looks like he's gonna fight Johnny, but LA Knight in the meantime is trying to sneak up to hit Johnny in the back of the head. Dexter throws Johnny to the side and stares down LA Knight. Johnny hits a super kick and throws LA Knight back into the ring, and then he goes to get in the ring, but Indy, like, stops to get his attention and points at Dexter, and Dexter's holding his hand out, like, so they can touch hands, Johnny and Dexter, and be bros, I guess. And Johnny looks hesitant at first, and then he goes to, like, reach his hand to touch hands with Dexter. Before he can do that, LA Knight turns him around, hits his finisher, the BFD, is that what they said it was? Hits his finisher, and LA Knight wins. So, that was a really fun match and a fun finish. LA Knight wins. That's important. He's a bad guy, so he won by a distraction and hitting his finisher. So it was a decisive win, but he had to have help doing it. You also have more of a reason now for Johnny to be mad at Dexter, and of course Dexter didn't mean to. Dexter Lumis is, like, wide-eyed and concerned. That's a new emotion for him. That's funny. Beth Phoenix is beside herself at this result. I love Beth Phoenix in this role. She is so genuinely crushed that this happened. Her and Wade Barrett argue about whether Dexter Lumis did that on purpose. So we'll see if this continues or if, like, it's going to be Johnny and Dexter now. I'm not sure. I'm glad LA Knight won. Imagine having the guy who's newer to the show win. Just imagine it. MSK's in the back. They said, sorry to interrupt, we just needed a camera for this. They're going to Regal's office. They say, one of them says to the other to knock and be polite. They go into the office. They tell Regal they want to give Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan a tag title shot because when they were tag champions, Danny got hurt and we never really beat them for it. Regal said after their actions last week, I was going to say no way, but if you're fine with it, then next week it will be MSK defending the tag titles against Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch. Now, that's going to be a great match. These guys are all really good in the ring. I did a little bit forget that we had tag team titles just because we had nothing going on with them, so that's fun at least. MSK is not like a great tag team in terms of like personalities to have in WWE because they have their personalities be personalities more than wrestlers. But in the ring, they're really good. So at the very least, that'll be a fun match next week. Cut back from commercial. I wrote, oh man, no way, Frankie Monet's here. Cool. It's actually Jessie Kamea wrestling today. So Frankie Monet and Robert Stone are out here with her. I guess Frankie Monet has taken over the Robert Stone brand. I'm not 100% clear. Raquel Gonzalez is Jessie Kamea's opponent, so that'll be super fun for her. Gonzalez has like a knee thing during the match, but she wins very quickly, as you would probably expect. Robert Stone's checking on Jessie Kamea. Frankie Monet gets in the ring and looks real smug and is talking smack to Raquel, but we can't actually see what she said. Taya Valkyrie is a very, very, very talented person. This Frankie Monet thing is annoying. Not in a she's a bad guy way, so I want to see her get beat up in like a if we could not have her on the Hulu cut, that'd be cool, because you're just telling me the Robert Stone brand story again, but with a different leader. Like, we did this with Jessie Kamea and Aaliyah against, like, Rhea Ripley, and it was kind of a fun thing for Rhea to do for a minute then, and now we're just kind of doing it again, except with Frankie Monet, who's, like, not a character. She's, like, an annoyance, and I feel like Raquel's just going to win anyway. So, I mean, at some point, we're doing Frankie Monet, Raquel Gonzalez. That's fine. Sure, why not? So, we go to a sit-down with Samoa Joe and Wade Barrett. Joe's asked about his expectations, and he says he thinks that he has some unexpected expectations. He says he wants to reestablish a precedent of what it means to be NXT champion. Somebody who goes out and represents the brand and represents the former champions at all times. And he's made history by winning this third title. He didn't have the luxury of a fight camp before the title match. He went to Vegas. He was scouting talent. He had to fly back, missing his family terribly. But these are sacrifices that are demanded. And he's interested to see who in NXT is going to step up and try and take their destiny. And who among the NXT roster will take that chance. And he's more than willing to help them with that chance. He really wants to fight some up-and-comers, which is cool. He's like a player coach. Like he's not necessarily here to be dominant and to have this long title reign. He's here to represent as an NXT champion, and he's wanting somebody to come knock him off the mountain, which is something we haven't seen from Samoa Joe before. So whoever does eventually beat him, it will be a bigger deal because of it. You love to see it. Ciampa's out for the main event. Blah, blah, blah. Ciampa hits the apron DDT on Ridge Holland and just wins the match straight up. Dude, that's cool, huh? And then, you're never going to believe this, but Ciampa's immediately attacked by Pete Dunne, Oney Lorcan, and Danny Burch, so that, the bad guys can get some heat on him. You know what you could have done if the bad guys were just going to do this anyway? You could have just had Ridge Holland win. Would probably have worked too. MSK comes out, they fight with Burch and Lorcan, take them out, get in the ring, they run off Ridge Holland and Pete Dunne. They all leave. MSK and Ciampa are standing tall together. For the life of me, I do not understand why Duke Hudson lost to Kyle O'Reilly. I understand less why Ridge Holland lost to Ciampa. He's not like an undefeated guy. That's not his gimmick. He didn't it's not like, oh my God, how could you have him lose? It just seems like the story you were telling was that they're taking out Ciampa and Thatcher and then they come back for their revenge. Well, now Ciampa's just beating him straight up in the middle of the ring. So that's not like the super most interesting way to set up a feud, but that's fine. Listen, Raquel's going with Frankie Monet. MSK is going with Danny and Oni. Ilya Dragunov is going back. Kushida's still just not around, but he's going to go with Diamond Mine eventually. Look forward to that. Don't know who Samoa Joe's facing, but there's a chance it's going to be Kyle O'Reilly, so buckle up, dude. Is there a lot going on in NXT right now? No, there's not. But I'm hoping that either the show gets really good or Vince and Bruce make it really bad so that I have something on one end or the other to talk about. So we're going to find out together next week. One more time, you can find me on Twitter at ZachNXT, ZACHNXT. You can also find me over at Random Wrestling. Was fighting off some kind of flu or sickness last week, so didn't get to do an episode, but an episode will come out this weekend of Random Wrestling, so subscribe over there too. For now, though, that's it for NXT, so that is it for me, my friends. I have been Zachary Smith. You have been fantastic as always, and thank you for listening.